Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a couple of tracks from an act named Sweetly Love titled The Only One and Anything. And if we switch over to here, if we go on to Music Beat here, we've actually got quite a few tracks from Sweetly Love. I've reviewed a lot of their music in the past. It's good to be able to review more, starting with The Only One, and we're going to listen through them from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, The Only One. We'll be giving these scores at the end on music criteria. When I like the transfer there, that's well done. And then, yeah, well done. Great use of that secondary rise there to kind of bring us into a new part. I mean, it's well layered. Great use of triplets. Interesting panning there as well with the synth from the side. Back into it. Okay, so that was The Only One by Sweet Little Love. And then just quickly, we've got lyrics for the only one. Lost in noise, running in circles, chasing the stars, but they're moving too fast. No more illusions, no more distractions. I'm the spark that's ready to ignite. So okay, there's this kind of like about like going through everything you need to in life in order to get to a point where you feel like you're enough, becoming a better, more powerful version of yourself to be able to celebrate your existence. I'm the only one who can save me, who can break free. No heroes coming, no one's running. I'm the only one who can heal this, turn the darkness into light. I kind of dig that. It's kind of uplifting, but we're going to talk about it more in a moment. So this first track, the only one, first of all, features the vocals of Mary Lover. So Mary Lover. So hopefully, I enjoyed those vocals. I think this track is about someone talking about how they are the only one who can fix their problems and get themselves out of the situation they're in. I think that's a really wholesome, healthy thing to talk about in the track. I dig that vibe and message. I think it's well handled. One of the things that makes this work is Mary's vocals. I think that we sing well, we carry the message well, we have presence in the mix without being too much. And I feel like the mixture of like main takes and overdubs and like backing parts on the sides helps to sort of keep it going and keep it really engaging throughout. Really happy with the way things are carried within the mix. And yeah, honestly, just solid vocal technique and really intriguing melodies as well. You know, like they're catchy and anthemic at the same time as having weight. I feel like another thing that really works well about this track, because it got 8 out of 10. Oh, as an overall score, by the way, in case I didn't mention that earlier, which is a really good score. The rhythms in this were absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate the wide variety of different drum grooves and fills within this. It was very sort of like captivating. You never quite knew what was going to come next. And I think that's really important in a track. The last thing you want to do is assume that you've got the groove down to a point where it becomes monotonous, and especially in a longer track like this outside of the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, you know, going between 16s and 30 seconds in those builds all the way up to like triplets and stuff like that later on, and just having variety is just really important. It's compelling. And I feel like, you know, you can have quarter notes and that have that as be substantial as well, but mixing the two together is something that takes expertise and nuance, and I think that Sweet Little Love has that at this point in time. I think finally, even though I am cautious about there possibly being more than there was, I appreciate the amount of air candy and polish there is to this. There's a lot of going up and down and risers and fade outs and stuff like that. It is somewhat contradicted by the consistency of the dynamic range of the track. It seems like it's the same loudness for quite a lot of this, which is not super fantastic in the sense that like I would have appreciated maybe like something a little bit more kind of like, oh, we are coming down for this, like just a bit of a break in at the halfway point. But I think like ultimately it was still well handled, and I just think that you need that kind of again, that kind of ear candy to keep people engaged in this day and age with people with shorter attention spans. Having little kind of like different synths in different parts of the stereo field, things are going backwards and forwards and stuff like that. I'm all over that, you know, like decorating it from production and compositional perspective, especially if a main theme that you're very comfortable with and not one to sort of stray too far from is what's required. So overall, very, very good. Well done. But secondly, we have Anything with the vocals from Manthe. Manthe, if I'm not mistaken. Interesting movement with that triad, that third one. Or that last one.
When I was much younger, I didn't know what I'd do. I just kept on trying to fill those grown-up shoes. So I got a job, and I worked 9 to 5. Then you went and left me, more dead than alive. You said that I was lost, and I can't disagree. I'm not yet heard the music that set my soul so free.
Yeah. Great use of space within this really fantastic theme.
If I could be anything, I'd be a raven girl. If I could do anything, I'd be a dancing girl. If I could change everything, I'd be a dancing queen. Living life to the beat, like a drum machine. If I could be anything, I'd be a lover girl. Together you and I, we will change the world.
It's uplifting.
I was a child back
great development with the 16 hi-hats. We got some overdubs in upper range, nice work. Oh, we're going to end this quite neatly. Tremendous. Yeah, I think this song's going to score highly. It's going to score highly. So I've just realized I can actually just put the lyrics here and then not cut out the art. So sorry about cutting out the art before. I didn't mean to. This is Anything, featuring vocals from Manthe, if I'm not mistaken. When I was much younger, I didn't know what I'd do. I just kept on trying to fill those grown-up shoes. But then you went and left me. You said I was lost. Okay, I get it. Oh, all right, we'll get it. Cool. So let's talk about this track, though, more in a moment. So this track is fairly straightforward, just after having a quick look through the lyrics. Effectively, you've got someone discussing how they've tried to grow up and be like an adult, but at the same time, it's just kind of destroyed them a little bit. So they're in a position where they just kind of want to give up and just be a raver girl, or just kind of just do whatever they want. And it's a thing that I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to. I think what I appreciate about the messages of both The Only One and Anything is that they're messages which are positive and relatable and have an audience. And I think that when people are dancing to stuff, they don't necessarily want to have to question the stuff that's being said when they're dancing to it, So it's always helpful. This song got an overall score of 8.3 out of 10, which may not seem like a big score, but it is very high. It's just that the criteria is complicated. Sometimes you'll like some stuff a lot, and then other stuff's like, eh. But overall, I think it was a strong track. I appreciate the actual music, the theme behind it, those arpeggios, the interesting chord progressions the triads used, and the kind of do do da 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 da. It was like a kind of I don't know if it was entirely diatonic. It might have been a little bit chromatic or had some parallel majors or minors, but either way, it was just interesting because it switched things up a little bit. And when you add it to like the color, the flair, and how the vocal melodies, because Manthe just as well did a fantastic job on the vocals. I appreciated those too. I'll talk about those in a moment, but it's just the way that those vocal melodies backed up that main theme. And you had some relative simplicity at times as well. Things came down a bit more in this track for a bit of kind of space before we built ourselves up. There was just a fantastic like overall kind of like harmony going throughout this track there that never felt discordant or dissonant. It was just really pleasant to listen to. I think as well, I appreciate in specific with specificity, should I say, the upper range parts that Manthe did up top. I think that it was really cool to hear those kind of tails and little sub parts in the sides of the stereo field, whilst we sang our main components, because it's like, wow, we can really belt it out when we need to. We can color in that range. And I just think if we'd had other instruments up that high, it might have just been a bit sharp, sounding like some of those synths might not have had the great sort of like resonance up in that range. Like it might have sounded a bit sharp. So it's really cool that we did that. I think it was a great choice with the filtering and EQ applied to it as well to kind of make it a bit more subtle, but still, audible. I think finally the structure is the thing I really appreciate about this track. It just seemed like a shorter track with great use of that real estate. We had spaces, we had gaps, we had momentum, we kept it up, we had rises and filtering and stuff like that, and we had lots of different drum beats and synth patterns and bass lines and melodies and harmonies and all that kind of stuff. And we had stuff that was sort of like part of the genre, this kind of, but at the same time, we knew to kind of have it fade out and to kind of signal to the listener then in the track that it was going to end, just with the lack of the drums there, just reiterating upon that synth motif and then having the boof, kind of like slow reverb tail fade out at the end. Absolute class act. Well done. Definitely deserves that score. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of these two tracks from Sweet Little Love, titled The Only One and Anything. I've spoken about these two tracks individually within their listening sections and their mini conclusions. So I'm just going to give overall thoughts on these two tracks. The average score of this was like 8.15 out of 10. So I think that's a great, solid sort of like score for these two songs. I think that one of the things I appreciate was the vocals from both Manthe as well as Mary Lover. Mary Lover and Manthe. They both did great jobs. They were different singers. They had different textures and timbres and styles and everything like that. And you could there was distinction between them, but they colored the mixes really well. They sang really well on top. There was presence to them in the mix. It never felt superfluous. It was always additive. And I just appreciate that they were the icing on the cake. I think another thing I appreciate is just the overall polish of the studio production with these two tracks. I really wanted to mention it earlier, but it's just simply with Sweet Little Love stuff at this point in time. There's no real feedback I can provide that would necessarily improve that. I just think we're doing absolutely what we need to in regards to the recording, the filtering, the EQing, the compression, the dynamic range, like things breathe, the glowing, etc. There's great lots of use of rises and post effects as well, but it's also, as a final note, the fact that you've got the fundamentals of music theory and composition down with the way that we structure things, the way that we articulate and add air candy, whilst also having sort of like really cool sounding bass lines and synth sequences and pads and drum parts. The drums are phenomenal at this point. You've just got a whole wide variety of different grooves on them, and it never feels like too much. And I think that that's really important in this genre, because the moment you get to where it's too much, it is definitely too much. It's meant to be an intense, like energetic kind of experience, and I just think that you can push it down a little bit too far and it becomes a bit kind of egregious. But here we balance it. I appreciate the level of professionalism involved at this point. I consider it to be commercial grade. I don't really have any complaints about these tracks at all. I feel as if anything we needed to do has already been done. And I just think purely at this point, any higher scores for me would simply be subjective. And I know that's kind of brutal, but at the same time, that is the point of a ranking system. I think you have to kind of balance what the musician wants with what the reviewer wants. And I feel at this point, Sweet Little Love is doing what they want. And I like it. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I wish them all the best. Because thank you for watching my review of these two tracks, the only one and anything from Sweet Little Love, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias. And I'm sure this will be on all digital streaming platforms. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.